Hey everyone, this is our lesson on persuasive essay and how to write one. What is a persuasive essay? It is an academic essay where you use logic and arguments to convince readers of your point of view. It is also a paper using solid evidence such as research, stating facts, examples, and quotes from experts. What is necessary to have in a persuasive paper? Well, there's several things. One, your introduction, which is your first paragraph. It must include a hook, a bridge, and a thesis. The hook is the first sentence, the bridge is the second, at least somewhere in the middle, and the thesis is the third or the last sentence of the first paragraph. Then you have 3 body paragraphs. This paper must be a 5-paragraph paper. So your 3 body paragraphs will each include the first sentence of that body paragraph will have topic sentences. And then you'll have 2 to 3 sentences for each paragraph explaining your topic sentence. During the 3rd paragraph, after your topic sentence, somewhere near the end of that 3rd paragraph, if you feel confident, this is where you put the counter argument. And I will explain what a counter argument is in a little bit. Then next is your conclusion. They restate your thesis and close out your paper. Don't make it more than 2 to 3 sentences long. So first, I know you're asking yourself, what is a hook? Well, a hook is an interesting question. So do not write, do you ever get angry? Well, of course the people do. Everyone gets angry. It's not an interesting question. But you could make it interesting. Say you write, do you ever watch violent movies and feel like you have emotions you need to release? There you go. You've made that question interesting. Now people are like, what are they going to talk about? What's going on? They want to know more. You've hooked them in. Next, use a strong statement or a declaration. There is no reason for anger ever in this world. Okay, you and I know this is a ridiculous statement, but it is a strong statement, and you've probably hooked the person, the reader, because they're like, what are they going to talk about? What do they mean nobody ever shouldn't feel anger? That's ridiculous, you know. Next is a quotation. And it is important to write all quotations like this. Booker T. Washington once said, I shall allow no man to belittle my soul by making me hate him. Notice where I put the name of the author of the quote. I put it in the front. You don't have to say once said. You could have said stated, declared, anything, but it needs to go in the beginning. The next quote is a story hook, or also known as an antidote. You keep this brief, no more than 2 to 4 lines. I just walked through the door at school and I could feel something not right in the air. Another kid came up to me and said he heard from a friend that we'll skip that. I thought I was going to explode from anger. Then I remembered my grandmother once told me, she said, and then you go on from there. Just use a few lines. You don't need to put that you were wearing a red shirt or that the kid was wearing green plaid or that your grandmother went to church every Sunday. That's not important. Also, you can make it up. It doesn't have to be real. You guys are more creative than you give yourself credit for. So you could just try that. Remember, like I've said before, if it doesn't include vampires and aliens, there's no reason to not believe it, right? So just a couple lines is needed for this. And then the next one is statistic or fact. Now, you guys are really lucky. You may not think you are, but you are. When you're writing this for the STAR exam, you cannot use this. And it's a really good one to use because it really backs up your persuasive argument. So the fact is, since this is the project and it's online, even if we were sitting in the classroom, you would be able to go online and look up a statistic or fact to use. So take advantage of that. Here's a good example. MindYourAnger.com tells us that 65% of office workers experience office rage. Guys, things like this, someone go, that's interesting. I want to read more. Your next sentence in your introductory paragraph is called the bridge. And what the bridge does is it connects your hook to your thesis. And it also explains your hook, why that information is important. The anecdote you used, what were you trying to tell the reader? Why is that story important? It doesn't have to be long. It can be just one sentence. The next is the all-important thesis. The thesis is always the last sentence of the first paragraph. If it is not there, you cannot make a passing grade. You might get a 2 if you're lucky, maybe. Honestly, there's several types of thesis. Just go with the easiest. Some people will tell you, oh, thesis can be 2 sentences. No, just do 1. Make it the easiest possible way. And I have done that in the thesis video. So if you haven't seen it yet, you need to go and check it out, and it will help you write your thesis. The thesis tells the reader what your paper's about. So here's an example. Schools should require all students to do community service hours to graduate because it will show them how they can make an impact on the world, their communities, as well as themselves. That is our thesis. We will refer to this in a little bit as well. Next sentence is in our body paragraph. So each body paragraph will have a topic sentence. The topic sentence is that first sentence of each body paragraph, right? And where we've gotten that topic, we've gotten it from the thesis. So remember our thesis? Schools should require all students to do a community service hours to graduate because it will show them how they can make an impact on the world, their communities, as well as themselves. What are we going to talk about first? Well, we're going to talk about making an impact on the world, right? So that's our first body paragraph. That's our first topic. Community services can help students make the world a better place for everyone. We've used that first topic in the thesis sentence. We will do that for each topic. The second topic will be the second body paragraph. The third topic is the third body paragraph. Next, we have the counter argument. Remember, this goes in that third body paragraph. It must come after this topic sentence. So this is where the writer acknowledges other beliefs or ideas, but disproves them. Example, though many believe community service is just for the privileged, they do not understand that everyone, including the underprivileged, can benefit by giving back where they can. So what have I done? I've acknowledged the other side and I've attempted to disprove them, all in one sentence. Guys, if you do this, you will get a 4. It's not necessary. It is an added thing. So if you don't feel confident enough, don't try it. However, if you do, it guaranteed will get you a 4. Let's say maybe your paper is weak. This will push it over to passing. Do you see what I'm saying? Counter argument is helpful, but not necessary. Conclusion. That is our final 5th paragraph. The first thing you need to do is rewrite your thesis. Guys, it doesn't have to be word for word. You can condense it a little. You can shorten it. You just want to get that idea in place. Schools should require all students to do community service hours to graduate because it'll show them how they can make an impact on the world, their communities, as well as themselves. That is our thesis example, right? So what I've done for the conclusive example, community service not only helps the community at large, but it helps those in service feel better about themselves. So I've kind of taken out and combined our 2 topics and 2 subtopics, and I've put in our third subtopic, and voila, we have a conclusive statement. These are some things you should never forget when writing. Really for the persuasive or the expository, either one. This is a multiple paragraph paper. You must write 5 paragraphs in 600 words. Remember, the thesis is the last sentence of the first paragraph. If it is not there, you will not pass. And you cannot come back and say, well, I put it in the middle of the third paragraph. Because if you put the thesis sentence somewhere else in the paper, it ceases to be a thesis statement. And it becomes a regular, albeit awkward and weird sentence in your third paragraph or wherever else you put it. Must be last sentence, first paragraph. And I'm going to tell you, as a reader of your papers, that's the first thing I look for. I don't even look at your names first. I look for that thesis. I have a feeling I'm not alone in this. Number 3, paragraphs must be in the same order as stated in the thesis statement. So remember, in our example, our first paragraph would be about how it affects the world, our second, how it affects communities, and our third body paragraph, how it affects the student themselves. Number 4, make paragraphs obvious and indent, indent, indent. Many of you have a bad habit of not doing it, and you have this single spaced sentence that looks like one long paragraph. You can't do that. You have to indent your paragraphs. Check spelling and grammar. Do not write like you speak. This is a formal paper, formal words only. Also, use thesaurus.com and find bigger, better words for your ordinary words that you normally use. Dazzle us. It is important. Let's say, again, you have a weak paper. Maybe you put in a counterargument and it still is written weak. Maybe you're right on the edge of a 3. Okay? Or maybe even you've written a decent paper. You didn't do the counterargument and you're right on the edge of a 4. Guys, those words, those bigger, better, flashier words, they can push you over to passing, either to a 3 or to a 4. Do it. You have the time. And 8, do not go on personal tangents. Stay focused. Stay connected to your prompt. Last but not least, I have some words you are never to use in formal writing. And do not forget them. Nowadays, yes, it's a real word. No, it's not formal. You, a lot. Finna, it's not a real word. Slang. Now, here's my deal. If you are writing a paper and you need slang that's used every day in your life and in other people's lives, and it helps your paper, use it. However, you must explain what it means. I want you to think that everybody reading your paper to grade it is 90 years old and has no clue what slang words are today, okay? Because honestly, though I know a lot, there's some I don't know. And I don't even know if I'm reading it. So it may be somebody who is even older than me that doesn't know. So if you use slang, use it sparingly and tell us what it means. Just put it in parentheses afterwards, after the word. Never use the word wanna, not a word. Stuff, gonna, not a word. Thing, I. Now, if you use the word I, you should never use it unless you're telling a story about yourself. And then use it sparingly. Like if you're using an anecdote or a little short story in your hook. Or if one of your examples is personal. I get having to use I a couple of times, but we don't want to see I throughout the whole paper. No. Guys, trina is not a word. Me, don't use that. Cuz, it's not a real word. It's slang, like wanna, gonna, finna, and trina, etc. Now, this is not necessary. Here is the problem with etc. It becomes redundant. You've listed 2 or 3 items. Just stop there. If you write etc., we don't need it. We don't need to see it. It just takes up space of a valuable word that you could have used there to begin another sentence. Do not use it. Do not write it out. Do not hyphenate it like I've done, or shorten it like I've done. And never use the word, as I've said, never and always. They're too definitive. You want to stay away from those. Remember, if you have any questions, please let me or Miss Evans know. Thank you. Bye.